When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
It's gonna be a wild one out here at Watkins Glen. I've been thinking about this race for a good few weeks now, and it's finally upon us. It's dry on the circuit, but it's gonna be a roller coaster out here for the FF1600 series. Howie Burrows, as ever, brought to you alongside Ronald Marnes. And Ron, this one's gonna be a bit of a draft train, bit of a wacky race. Gonna be all sorts of things today, I think, really.
And there's also the worry that this race coming up may be a little bit damp. Currently in qualifying right now, there is no rain on the circuit at the moment, but looking at the iRacing weather forecast, there is a slight chance of rain in the coming few hours here in the sim. So we may have to worry about weather playing a role in this 4th week race. Watkins Glen, just another part of this absolutely amazing schedule to look forward to. Road Atlanta in 1 week's time, Laguna Seca, Long Beach, VIR, and Mount Panorama, Sonoma, Ultra-Slaven, and then we'll be rounding off this season all the way in September. So a whole lot of stuff to look forward to here for Season 3 of 2025 here on Maconi Entertainment. But here at the Glen, I personally adore this track. I may be a little bit biased since I say only, I feel like this will probably be absolutely insane to hear from you, Howie, since, the other UK brain, we're about an hour and a half drive is too far. This is rather close to me in the grand scheme of the rest of the schedule, being only 6.5 hours away from where I am, but this track is one of my all-time favorites. I want to come here one day. It is an absolute hoot to drive in this sim, and I have a feeling this race coming up is going to be a barn burner.
So let me tell you what I know. This track is obviously a dream in sports cars. I love it to bits. In Formula cars, I've always had a few quite consistent experiences of trials and tribulations. I used to cover the Skip Barber series, and they turned this race into basically Talladega with right turns. You know, everyone was together, and then the big one wipes out the whole field. I've also driven this in cars like the Super Formula Light. Love that thing, but you're just flying around at full speed, and while there's some joy to be had in that, it's also a little bit scary on the track. And here we are again, doing this one again. These cars are a little bit drafty as well, but they're also a little bit slippy. They really struggle to just sort of to keep their grip around the high and low parts of the track. So there's a lot to think about and a lot to be fearful of. I've heard there's been a lot of contact with people that stayed out of the pack and tried to get back in. I've heard it's been a bit of a Red Bull ring. It's a ton of fun to drive on. I do love it, but with a 4,700 SOF today on a free split race, I do think there will be fireworks.
Yeah, there is definitely going to be some drama breaking out in this 20-minute long race that we have coming up. This racetrack, super fun, and probably one of the longer ones that we'll be visiting all throughout this season at 3.45 miles, 12 turns in all, with all 12 of those corners really being nothing alike the ones around it. It's going to be a fun ride, this. This may be a trouble spot, especially, though, on lap 1. Running on board with Fraser Smith through the bus stop chicane. Technically, it's called the inner loop, but the bus stop is just more of a fun of a name to say. You could see him banging through the gears, having to go from 4th to 3rd, clobbering the curbs, heading all through there as well. That first curb, heading through that section of the track, it's an all-or-nothing curb, especially in open-wheel cars. You either go through, get all four off the deck, and run the old bunny hop strategy, or you just avoid that curb with a 10-foot pole. I've seen some drivers get really screwed up because of the curbs heading through that section of the track, both this past week with these Formula Ford cars and in the past covering races here at the Glen. And I have a feeling that turn 1 through there, well, lap 1, I should say, through there, is going to be an interesting ride, to say the very least. I do not envy the spot those racers will be in then.
Of course, with the way that our community manager, who art in heaven, and miles run schedules, we often see a few repeats come around on the even weeks on different layouts of the same track, and I'm wondering if maybe we'll get ourselves the cut layout if this one returns to the schedule. But for now, we have the boot, which is a bit of a downhill, uphill pain. And I have looked at the weather radar up ahead, and it is looking a little bit on the potentially wet side down the line. These cars obviously only have one tyre, so you have the car you line up in. First drivers crossing the line, we have 2-minute laps on the board. This is a bit of a slow burner of a track, and it will only get slower if rain hits the track. Here's Christopher Cash hitting the Field Series regular as ever. I don't think he set a legal first lap, so this second one is going to have to be the one he runs with. Quite easy to get you off tracks because of the way iRacing does the track limits here. It's 4 wheels off the edge of the first turn's curb, and that often catches people more than anything else, really. I missed my chance to do 6 hours at the Glen. I would have loved to do it because in sports cars, this track's an absolute joy. Even the IMSA field, the NASCAR fields especially, they do great running around here. But I've never quite seen something like this, and you know what? Maybe I am looking forward to it. Maybe I am thinking in my heart that this might be a bit of a roller coaster. I should be more optimistic because we get to enjoy it even if else on the track do not. Rens Brookman sets the fastest lap so far, but every driver's got one more to do.
Yeah, these drivers just have a bit more time left to work with here. 2.5 minutes to be a bit more exact in this solo qualifying session. These drivers have 2 laps to try and get the job done, and let's see who will be able to get that job done. We're following him, heading his way off through the mid-sector, that being Christopher Cash right now in the number 7 car, down into turn number 8. This isn't the trouble spot, though. No, the real trouble spot, as far as I'm concerned, is this turn number 9. I remember getting my first ever broadcasting opportunity about 2 years ago because I fired off I think it was about a 15-minute long rant about turn 9 here at the Watkins Glen boot layout, and really I could have gone on for about an hour and a half in total. That corner to me is my sleep paralysis demon, as a big wall tap from Cash coming out of the final turn.
That's not going to be a legal lap. Crash will start from the back. Matt Kendall has the fastest so far, but drivers are flying through. Rens Brookman was fastest on his first. He's going to need to try and beat Kendall's, but he's only behind by 0.052 on his first lap. So if this stays clean, I expect he could take that the top charge. Mikey Pollard is in P3. He's locked in his lap. Yano Maku jumps above him at 2-minute 8:03. About half the field's been able to make 2-minute laps, and in the dry, I bet we could get the race lap to below 2. But if it doesn't stay that way, we're going to see something very unusual out here today. Here comes Rens Brookman. He'll be setting one of the last important laps of the run. He needs to beat a 6.83 in order to get pole position and have that all-important inside line into the first turn. A 5.15 should be good enough to jump him up to the top.
And there we go, Renz Brookman peaking at the right time, setting that good lap. There you can see the total there, a 2-minute flat, 0.532, just about a tenth and a half quicker than Matt Kendall, set to join him on the front row presently. Brookman pulling off the track, coming out of turn number 1. That's it for this qualifying session. Looks like a checkered flag is out, and looks like we'll have 17 starters for this race, but it's going to be Renz Brookman starting from the pole.
Let's get going on the starting grid. It's Renz Brookman as just seen, getting a lovely pole, a 5.32 in front of Matt Kendall in P2. Further down the field, we have Jarno Marku in 3 with Mikey Pollard in P4. Row number 3 is Daniel Tufts next to Jordan Gronowski. And row number 4 is Jake R. Williams next to Fraser Smith. Our top 10 rounded up by Ann Medma and Andrea Bellotti.
Then looking right behind them, we've got Graham Roy Hunt starting this race in P11 in the lucky number 13 car, alongside your P12 starter of Martin Arndulis. Oh man, numbers not being my strong suit today. Fabio Berchtold will start this race in P13 alongside Felipe Catalan starting this race in 14th. It'll be the P15 starter of Alexei Sergrenko alongside Christopher Cash after not setting a qualifying time in your final starter will be Elia Lodi. I'm not even going to mention that slight stroke I had a couple of moments ago, but Howie, we have got a really interesting race. The rain is coming down at the moment in certain parts of this racetrack, but it's not being marked off as wet yet. Keyword being yet. The rain hitting this track is going to be rather damp. I don't think it's going to turn this track into a flood, but it may just be a damp one from start to finish.
I see rain on the track indeed, and it's only going to start getting worse. 20 minutes gets rolling right now. Renz Brookman in that orange car starts on the inside and cuts off the one there to try and open up the best line into turn 1. Matt Kendall just behind. You might be able to see a few raindrops in certain sections, but everyone's able to file out of turn 1. Bit 2-3 wide further back down the road. There's Martin Arnoldas trying to make it free up the track, and you can see those first raindrops starting to drop in the right camera angles. Renz Brookman leads the way. Jarno Marku in 3rd, just behind, and it looks like we're going to try sending it 3 wide already into the first chicane. A great run by Jarno Marku. He's able to seal the deal. 2 wide on rows further back, and I'm amazed we're all making it. Let's hold our breath before we do. It looks like it's good for now.
I'm looking through at the present moment. Looks like a vast majority of this racetrack is now enveloped with rain. Down the hill, off into the boot section, we're going to go for the very first time with Marku in the race lead. Side-by-side racing maybe a little bit farther in the back. Daniel Tufts skidding a little bit as he headed his way through the downhill section. That's a driver going off the track. I believe that's Catalan with a moment heading through the turn. Looking at the track conditions right now, you can see it on your screen. You can see it on the graphic. Light rain at the present moment. Those overcast skies making sure there's not a single ray of sunshine beaming down upon this track. Track temperature is not exactly warm either, side by side between Marku and Kendall. The track may not be hot, but the racing action certainly is.
We stay fairly drivable for now, but I only expect this to get worse as the race continues. And this track gets damper and damper. Currently no spray being kicked up, and it's been a really, really, really clean first lap. Most drivers getting into line, but we're going to see some position trading from our top 3 to 4 cars over the course of the race. Can run a little bit wide, as we saw Chris Cash there. That wasn't Chris, that's Daniel Tufts. A few names, they repeat in my mind, but I can recognise Tufts' car from a mile away. Here comes Kendall. He should have the run down this straight. These cars pretty much running full speed. Whoever's in second will take first if given the space, and that's Kendall with the inside line for now. But I think we might have another epic 3 wide run. We're going to find out the point at which these curbs become unusable. It's not yet, but it's due eventually.
Yeah, you know, as treacherous as the curbs already are around this racetrack, especially heading through the bus stop chicane, with the conditions that we've got going on right now, those wet painted curbs are going to be a real trouble spot. Look at the draft. Look at that pack of cars as they head their way down the backstretch. That's Renz Brookman looking to jump back into the race lead. He gets it done. Williams jumps his way up into P2. Matt Kendall nearly goes off the track. That's a big off-track moment for Andrea Bellotti. He's going to drop down to lucky number P13, but side by side, and a massive pack of race cars heading their way down the backstretch off into the chicane. They get through there cleanly. Side by side, still Brookman trying to block off that inside line. Jake Williams there, still within striking distance in that number 10 machine. He's gotten off to a flyer of a start, and let's see what he may be able to do now, slide in second.
I'm glad at least you see it as lucky. The rest of us might not share that sort of appreciation, but the 10 car of Jake Williams, and 10 is no slouch in iRacing today. 5K gets you a car that's halfway down the field in terms of number. Will be jumping into the lead towards the exit of the boot. Can run right there. DQ shouldn't be too much of a problem if people behave themselves into turn one. That's Williams out in the lead for now, but these very, very long straights there leading to drivers jumping over each other. That's a bit of a unstable move there from Fraser Smith. He's able to recover the car in time, keep it pointed forwards, almost a field killer. Now he's actually the savior of them all. Jake Williams leads through our next lap as we see just a little bit of netcode issues and, dare I say, a weird pit entrance from Martin Arnoldus. I don't think he had a meatball flag, but he did just catch a black flag on pit entry. Not sure why he entered. I think it might be network problems.
Yeah, could potentially be it. All I know for sure is that he's decided to call it a day. So, tough moment for Arnoldus. He'll be out of this race all the way down in P17, so the driver of the number 14 car not getting off to a good start at all here in this race. Already running through it, though, is side by side. It's a 2x2 pack, nearly making it 4 wide. They head their way down into the chicane. These drivers do not fear death in the early stages of this race, but I don't think death fears them. It is looming upon these racers if they have a more 4 wide moments. I mean, when you think of Watkins Glen, you don't think of wide open space, perfect runoff areas where you can go 4 wide, and if it ends badly, you can still be perfectly all right. Now, this is an old school, unforgiving, classic American sports car racing track, and as tiny as these cars may be compared to the IMSA machines that usually run around here, that is still playing with fire, going 4 wide nearly off into the chicane.
We're keeping it so clean today. You guys are making the Skip Barber drivers look like barbarians out on the track today, and it's wet. Maybe I'm holding my tongue just a little bit, but only 10 laps intended at this racing pace. Matt Kendall makes a jump into one, but you can see how this has become a pack race. Usually the fastest drivers would have run away from the pack by now. Instead, all the way back to Ann Medma, who's sitting behind the whole field, comes pretty much everybody within a shout of it, and wouldn't want some of those further back drivers to make dives in for P1 to finish off the race. Let me tell you that. Quite a big rap to Andrea Bellotti in P10. He's getting to work with others to make it up the field, but I've not caught any evidence of any significant crashes whatsoever, so we are just flying and flying. This makes it lap 4 out of 10.
And you know, whilst you've been looking to see if there's been any sort of incidents, I've been looking behind these cars to try and see whether or not there's any spray gang kicked off. The rain is still coming down. It is just about as light of rain as you can get here on iRacing, though, marked as blue on the weather radar. That is at the bottom of the scale in terms of rain heaviness. So this track not completely enveloped in rain yet. They're still marking it off as dry. As look at that, Renz Brookman nearly ending up in the wall coming out of turn number 4, trying to swing around the outside, keep that momentum rolling down the stretch, and there through into the race lead goes Brookman. Actually, no, that's Williams jumping up to the race lead. Brookman, though, getting in front of Matt Kendall as they had their way off into that section. So the driver, the number 2, back up into P2. But yeah, these track conditions, they may not be torrential yet, and we won't have to worry about tire changes as well in these Formula Fords. The tires the exact same in the dry as they are in the wet, which makes them a bit of a woolly handler whenever the rain starts to come down. But thankfully for these racers, iRacing still marking the track as dry, at least for now. However, those track and ambient temperatures considerably down compared to what it was a little bit earlier on here. 73 degrees Fahrenheit, I believe, is the current ambient temperature. I'll have to double check that here real quick. Actually, no, 73 degrees is the track temperature. The ambient temperature is actually warmer. So really, these drivers, I won't say they're having to deal with completely terrible grip yet, but it's not a bed of roses either.
Fraser Smith, one of those drivers that has a lot of cheerleaders in the chat today. A lot really willing him on to do well, and he has done some good climbing and some good moves and some good saves to get it up into P3 for now. Still no contact, but every time we leave those S's and approach the back straight, I'm seeing more and more unplanned aggression from some of these drivers. I'm a little bit scared about Brookman's move. He was able to make it work. I'm starting to just sort of build a little bit of fear in my heart. Some people here want there to be more rain for the show at home, but for now, this is what we've been saddled with, and Jake Williams has held that lead for quite some time, actually very fast, but this field has separated a bit. Daniel Tufts now trails the group after a few tricky moves him back, and Renz Brookman, I think, is going to try having the run here on Fraser Smith for this P2. No, Fraser Smith's actually going to try and go for it himself. We're almost going to go 3 wide again. We seem to have an obsession with doing this right now. Let me just put it like that. A little bit of a bump and a jump for Jake Williams. He doesn't touch. Fraser Smith comes into the lead. And even though we do have cheerleaders, and I suggest you do continue supporting your favorite driver, let me tell you, leading now is not how you're going to win this race.
Yeah, now if you're in the lead at the start of the final lap, there is one word to describe how you are going to be, and that is doomed. I have a feeling that run all the way up into the chicane, there's no coming back if you start that final lap up at the front, because you're going to be a sitting duck heading down that back straightaway. So for now, though, these drivers having to play a mix of the patient game, and yet they are still squabbling up every single time they head their way down the back stretch. It's given us a lot to talk about here on this broadcast, but I would not envy these drivers' blood pressures at the present moment. We'll say, though, the top 6 have broken away, as there's a bit of a gap that's formed between Jordan Gronkowski, the winner last time at Summit Point, and Daniel Tufts slotted in P7. 1.2 seconds is a gap. As you can feel the understeer from Jake Williams heading his way all through turn number 9. That turn with a rather flat banking, really no section of that track to know when exactly to turn in, no reference points, no banking or any sort of camber to the turn to assist you and your car through there at all. It is a track where you have to rely on exclusively the way your car is running around, which, hey, could be a very good reason why I struggle there. I am not a very good racer. It's a good reason why I'm behind the microphone instead of behind the wheel, folks. I will tell you that much. But heading through that section, especially at this point of the race, it can really be a detriment. The last time I was covering Formula Fords here at this exact same track, a matter of about 24 hours ago, it did run well heading all through there, had multiple drivers having off-track excursions all through turn number 9, but never mind that, we see 3 wide as they head their way through 4.
Fraser Smith set the fastest lap, but now we're about to dive into the bus stop, the biblically accurate name. Fraser Smith keeps the lead out for now, but Renz Brookman is challenging. I've heard there's contact further back. We do indeed have a little bit of wrecking and a little bit of confrontation about it. That's the first major contact of this race. I'm going to try and work out who was involved in that. All I know is I heard complaints on the voice chat about something, and I don't think is what we were seeing up in front. That was some pretty good racing. Being in the head of this draft can be tricky, but Fraser's managed to get our first sub-minute lap time of the race, a 1:59.8. So this track is by no means slowing down in this light rain. It feels probably very, very close to dry. Very, very manageable for these drivers. But Jake Williams was very aggressive last time we had him through that inner loop, and he's the one now I'm sort of watching to see, are we going to see an unusual move from him? Fraser's running well, and he's running fast, and that's going to keep him the lead for another lap. Still, going to have quite a few to go. We'll be approaching lap 7 out of estimated 10 when we next cross the line.
Yeah, so really getting into crunch time for this race. The time running out, as you can see Jake Williams playing with fire as he headed his way onto the brakes down into turn number 12. Thought we were going to see him pop back. Oh, he did pop back very briefly, as that was a blink in and out as he headed his way down that start-finish straightaway. But I saw him dip one of the rear wheels off into the dirt, heading off into the entry of the final corner. And that's a very dangerous game to play as is. I'm sure that grass, though, isn't exactly grippy, even by regular iRacing standards. So having a moment like that, clearly deciding to risk it. I think we're going to start to see these racers turn up the wick a bit now that we're in the final 6 minutes. Getting into crunch time. Oh, this is not going to work.
Jake Williams with a slip and a slide that almost took out the entire top three. He's going to need to watch himself, because if he doesn't catch that slide, he's going to take out the field. But for now, he uses it to jump in the lead. He gets just about enough space, and he's going to be leading, exiting that pivotal chicane on the last lap, as identified in chat. That's going to be the race winner or loser, whoever's leading out of there, provided no major incidents to go with. In fact, that showed up on my overlay as a driving slowly incident because of just how much that compromised Jake. Still looks good, though, on his end and on his car. Fraser Smith might just be where he wants to be. The rest of these drivers, who have all reformed back in the chain, by the way, goes all the way back to Elia Lodi here in the 13th place before the big gap with Felipe Catalan. 6 seconds back. They've not been able to stick with it, but look how many people with 5 minutes to go are still on the front of this pack. This is scary stuff.
And you know, as much as it didn't necessarily end in tears heading down into the bus stop last time by, I'm still going to stand by what I said with how much these drivers have been battling, with how close they have been racing, with how hot that pot has been boiling. I feel like it'll boil over soon. These racers have been playing a rather dangerous game up to this point. They've been playing it well. They've been keeping it clean, and props to these racers for putting on these fantastic battles week in and week out. But I feel like something's got to break here soon with a massive train of cars, as you said, Howie, running all the way back from your race leader, which is now Fraser Smith in the 4 car, all the way down really to Elia Lodi in that number 11 down in lucky number P13. This is just oh so close. It's really hair racing from our perspective here in the broadcast booth. Can't even imagine how it is for these racers behind the wheel. Look at the blocks getting thrown by Fraser Smith. That was Matt Kendall trying to make something work down the inside to stick it 3 wide down the back straightaway. They make it through clean, at least for the front 4. Looks like everybody's gone through that section smooth. Jake Williams, he's going to be leading right towards the end of this race. I believe they're coming to 2 to go this time by, unless I'm very much mistaken. So certainly getting into crunch time, these racers will have to figure out what their winning strategy will be, where to position themselves once we take that white.
There are only 3 drivers in the on the track, not in this train. It's Alexei Sajinko, Graham Rory Hunt, and Felipe Catalan. Everybody else is visible in these pictures as we serpentine train our way through. Looking at the race estimate, we are going to be hitting 2 to go very, very soon. And you can see, as ever in these races, the unpent anger build and build and build on that back straight. It's going to be electric, and if we make it all through without contact, you guys all deserve some kind of special prize. I don't know what it's going to be. I see the first signs of spray in some of these cores. You see that this is a dry turn, but as you exit the boot on that horrible little uphill turn, see a bit of spray there. I see a little bit of spray here. It's in little bits and pieces around the track right now, much more than it's a concrete thing. Here comes Fraser Smith. He's getting well offline. I think he wants to try and dominate that inside, but now he jumps back in. And 2 to go around here. My hairs are on the back of my chest, let me tell you that.
And you know, Howie said that the racing that we got right now is electric. I can say that that is a rather apt description of this, because with how close these racers have been and with the close calls heading down that back straightaway, I feel like I've been actively electrocuted at certain points in time. These racers still close as they had their way through turn number 4. They were going to stick it 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide. Holy cow, look at that move there on the inside line. That's Gronkowski, I believe, trying to make something work. That's not going to work out for him at all. He'll drop down to 6th. Jarno Marco actually getting overtaken by him, though, as they had their way through the bus stop. But we're seeing these racers now run off into the dirt. Renz Brookman was able to jump into the race lead and all of that. Didn't even pay attention to that battle for the race lead, as we saw some drivers doing their best Formula Ford lawnmower impression heading down that back straightaway. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that that is not the right strategy. But hey, certainly proves that these racers are willing to do whatever it takes to try and do well here in this race. Gronkowski looking for 2 straight wins here from this season. He won last time at Summit Point. Looking to get the job done again. Track temperatures continue to drop, now at 72 degrees Fahrenheit currently. The track not being marked as marginally wet at all. It is still marked as dry, even though that rain has been coming down ever since the drop of the green flag. But I think as much as the track may be cool and the rain isn't coming down, it's hot, and these drivers are really causing that pot to get close to boiling over.
We're only going to get one more shot at it, one more attempt to place your name in history here and lead the pack entering the all-important boot. We've kept it together so well up to now, and it's Renz Brookman that will be leading the field as we enter what will be our final lap. Fraser Smith is best in position to take advantage, but Matt Kendall, I think, wants to send it deep into the inside. Our fastest lap comes out from Renz Brookman. He is fast here, and he wants to defend that lead. But Fraser Smith already setting up his attack, coming up the S's. He wants to lead well before the chicane. Brookman runs wide. He's going to be a little slow. It opens up Matt Kendall here. And Jake Williams, what's he doing on the inside? Gronkowski wants to stick his nose in as well. We are going to make it 4 wide down this straight. Gronkowski has taken the lead entering the bus stop chicane. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. We're still all facing forwards, but this time Williams overcooks it. He goes too far wide, and that pushes Fraser Smith out. And Gronkowski, he tried a weird off-track salute before now. He didn't get that done, but I think he might have just made the move of the race after being a non-factor this whole time.
You know, as fantastic of a move that was, I am dumbfounded the fact that Fraser Smith and Jake Williams, firstly, they're still running nose to tail, so keep an eye for those two maybe going to squabble up yet again as they head their way through turn number 7. I am dumbfounded the fact that didn't result in a major collision. It was oh so close to it. Well done to those racers for keeping it clean and smooth. Look at that 5-car pack as they head their way down into turn number 8 for the final time. Oh, more contact being made. That's Fraser Smith. Gotta get shuffled off the track. He goes off into the dirt, well held there. It is getting physical right at the end of this race. Gronkowski on track for a victory as all hell is broken loose throughout this field.
Wow, that sure was a final lap that heated up, but it heated up with everybody in one piece. Extraordinary scenes for Gronkowski to be from the off-track menace 1 lap to the winner the next lap. Jake Williams is dead off the track, but Jordan Gronkowski will take the win.
Holy cow, what a race here at Watkins, Glen. They were getting physical at the end of it. There's no question or shadow of a doubt about it. It was fantastic to see. I'm sure these racers that will need a little bit of time to catch their breath. Let's take a look at this moment here with Jake Williams, the driver of the number 10 car. I said as they headed their way onto the back straightaway, look at him to maybe try and make a move done. He certainly went for the moves, but he was playing with fire. Look at that, a horrendous impact into the outside wall, skidding to a halt on the inside, tumbling upside down. He hit that wall upside down as well. That would have been a hellacious impact if it was real life. So pretty nasty collision to end what was a rather thrilling race from him. It's a story of Icarus. The wax wings melted as he flew too close to the sun. Let's take a look at this from the onboard shot of Williams. He certainly gave us an exciting finish to talk about. I'm not sure if he made any friends as a result of that, though, as we ride on board with him in his incident down to the last turn.
Oh, it's just a little mistake in the Tufts car, but some would say maybe he had that one coming as a little bit. I want to see the cockpit cam of exactly what getting sent like that looks like. It's the only seriously race-defining incident. Watkins Glen absolutely put on a show beyond my wildest imagination today, and Jordan Gronkowski is the one to profit from it. Oh, that sure is a hit. You've never heard a commentator excitedly say that someone's dead, but it wasn't because I was excited that he's dead. It's because I know he's okay, for the record. Don't you take me out of context and say that I would ever say that for a real racer on a real track. He's dead. That's not really in character, let me tell you that. Jordan Gronkowski takes the win over the line ahead of Renz Brookman and Matt Kendall, mate, taking up our podium. Yano Maku finishes fourth ahead of Ann Medmer, Fraser Smith, Daniel Tufts, Mikey Pollard, Fabio Birchtold, and Elia Lodi. That made up a lot of our lead pack, but there was a little bit more.
And looking right behind them, we got Andre Bellotti finishing this race in P11, Christopher Cash in 12th, Graham Rory Hunt in P13, Alexei Sagrenko finishes in 14th, and from Felipe Catalan in 15th. Jake Williams, the last of the cars being classified here in this race, towards the end, had that crash down to the final turn, and Martin Arnoldus had that early drama, came down pit lane. We're hearing actually that he did not fuel his car properly, filled it up with qualifying fuel instead of race fuel, tried to come down pit lane to fill it up, and picked up a pit lane penalty and decided to call it a day and tune into this broadcast here on Maconi Entertainment tonight. But Howie, that was just absolutely brilliant from start to finish. And a nice little statistical note from that: 2 weeks in a row, it was Renz Brookman starting from the pole in one of these FF1600 strength of field races here on Maconi. It was Renz Brookman starting from the pole and Gronkowski winning the race. 2 weeks back to back.
Did not see this coming in any world, but we have some drivers to talk to, and thankfully quite a few of them have come on very, very good time. So I'm going to first introduce into the booth Jordan Gronkowski, who all the way back here managed to catapult to this win. Jordan Gronkowski, do you have a copy here?
I have a copy, I can hear you.
Oh, extraordinary that you came out of nowhere to catapult yourself onto the win, and one of the cleanest Watkins Glen races I've ever seen in these cars, let me tell you that. Talk me through your final few laps.
Where to start? I was kind of settling in. Well, just at the start of the race, it was kind of, I lost a lot of ground at the start, and I was just trying to keep it clean because I did the race before this, and I think I almost got disqualified with so much incident points. So I was trying to keep it clean, and opportunities just started opening up and started even up, and then we got on to the last lap, and I said to myself, "Oh, here we go, last lap. Let's see what happens." And I got a reasonably good exit up the hill. I think people were maybe braking early into turn one to get a better run out, so I was trying to do the same thing. And I just came up the hill, and the gap in the middle just about opened up. I need to look at the replay. It looked pretty close. And then when I was in the middle of the two in front of me, then the two first and second kind of parted like the Red Sea. And I thought, oh yes, I'll take this. So yeah, in front, and then in the rest of the race, you're just thinking, don't throw it off, don't do anything silly. And yeah, I was watching in the mirror. Sorry, I don't know anyone's names yet. Apologies. But he was able. I think I was able just to pull away a little bit in some of the faster corners in the last lap. The rain seemed to help my car a little bit towards the end. I was a little bit understeer, and then towards the end it was kind of more balanced. So it seemed okay. And then just don't make a mistake, because I didn't. And then cross the line. And apologies to my neighbours who probably heard me screaming out of the window.
That makes it 2 for 2, I believe. If you don't know many names, it's very likely you came out of nowhere, and you've been the new one to drop into a dominate. How's the racing been, this community been for you?
Incredible. I've kind of, the guys obviously know, I've mentioned on Discord a couple of times, I've raced in real life, and most of our racing, I just raced as a part of a small family team. As myself and my dad was the mechanic. Hi Dad, if he's watching. He usually tunes in. So yeah, Formula Ford was always something that I loved and with a lot of time in real life. And then when it came on to, because we stopped in 2021, and then when it came into the iRacing service, I thought, I really want to get into this. And the car was really good initially, but they've obviously tweaked it over the last update, or a couple of updates ago, and it just handles a lot more like it did in real life now. So it's a lot more kind of, the rear moves around a little bit more, and it brings back so many memories. But it's so much fun, and especially with the guys and girls, everyone here. Like that race, as you said, it was so clean and wheel-to-wheel stuff, and it just is. It's more intense than real life Formula Ford, if that's possible. It's incredible, and the emotions crossing the line with these kind of results, I can't believe it. It's just exactly the same emotions. I just want to go on the podium now and spray some champagne.
Well, first of all, let me tell you, if you visit the festival, feel free to drop me a message. It's actually become a yearly thing for me now, ever since I started covering this. But it helps I live in the Southeast. It helps. But also, before we move on, any other thank yous or shout-outs?
Yeah, just as I say, thanks to my mum and dad. They're on holiday at the moment. Hopefully Dad managed to tune in and see that live, because he would have hopefully enjoyed it. Also, hi to my wife Karen and daughter Holly, who are downstairs. And again, sorry for upsetting their TV watching as I screamed the house down across the line there on the last lap. No, thanks to everyone who follows us and supports me on YouTube page and all the rest of it as well. It's it's fantastic.
Jordan Gronkowski, I think we're going to be speaking to you a little bit more this season, but for now, enjoy that extraordinary win.
Fingers crossed. Thanks very much, guys, and thanks to you guys for this amazing broadcast. It's great to be a part of it. Thank you.
And that was Jordan Gronkowski, and I'm leaving you, Ron, with our P2 finisher, Renz Brookman, who had a good race for himself as well.
Yeah, and Renz Brookman now joining us here in the commentary booth. Renz, welcome back into the broadcast booth, man. Happy to talk us through that wild race that we just saw here at Watkins Glen.
Well, it was definitely wild. I mean, I know it's quite a strong draft here, so my goal was just to stay in or within the top 3 and see how the last 2 laps would play out. Didn't really want to be leading into the last lap. Managed to get the gap down towards P2 enough so I could actually jump back into his slipstream to not lose too many places, and it kind of worked. So I only lost 1 into the bus stop, and then sort of followed Jordan home over the line. Amazing move by Jordan and a great win, because I think he passed 4 cars coming onto the back straight into the chicane. So that was quite amazing.
Yeah, the charge from him towards the end was absolutely insane. That whole race was just absolutely fantastic from our perspective here in the broadcast booth. I want to ask you about the rain, because we did see a consistent stream of rain coming down. Never saw iRacing mark the track as anything other than dry. But I want to ask you, how exactly did it affect the racing out there? Because those track temperatures did get a little bit cool.
I don't think it mattered too much. It's a little bit difficult to judge. It was definitely not wet. I mean, the fast race times were close to the dry times anyway, and I didn't notice much. I did see a little bit of spray coming off the tires, but that's about it.
It was a nice little test of Howie's graphics card, I think, is the best way we could describe the rain and its effect here on this race. But Renz, looking ahead for the rest of the season calendar, we have a pretty interesting race to look forward to here in 1 week's time. Road Atlanta, staying in the U.S., going a little bit farther down south. So what are your thoughts heading to that race in 1 week's time?
I look very much forward to Road Atlanta. It's one of my favorite tracks in the sim. The backstraight will be a lot of drafts again as well, so it will be interesting. But this is just a really nice track to drive, so very much looking forward to it.
And looking forward to seeing you be out there on the racetrack as well, Renz. Thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth. Well done on the P2, and we'll let you give any thanks or shouts out before we let you go.
Again, just you guys for commentating on this race, and all the drivers. It was a really nice, clean race, so I was a little bit surprised about it, actually. So well done to everybody.
And well done to you as well, man, on the P2 here today. And looking forward to seeing you hit the racetrack at Road Atlanta in just 1 week's time.
Yes, thanks, guys.
And that was Renz Brookman, our P2 finisher, to round off the day. And let me tell you this, you mentioned Road Atlanta. That's what I'm looking forward to. We're not leaving the American continent quite yet. That back straight is going to be unbelievable, but the rest of the track presents such an exciting challenge as well.
You know, I absolutely adore Road Atlanta. I love that track. I think it's probably the host of the best sports car race of the calendar year as far as I'm concerned. I love Petit Le Mans. I love that track. It was actually the site of one of my first iRacing broadcasts ever. So I'm a little bit partial to that track, but I think it'll put on some absolutely brilliant racing in 1 week's time. The drafting game down that backstretch, off into the turn 10 chicane, and that run up to the line as well. Going to give us a rather heart-pumping finish as well. Expecting some good racing there in 1 week's time. And to all of you tuning into this broadcast here on Maconi Entertainment, that gives you a very good reason to subscribe so you don't miss out on that action in just 1 week's time from Road Atlanta.
Well, this series produces better and better goods every week, let me tell you that. Subscribe to the channel and you won't miss a single one. But until then, I've been Howie Bowes alongside Ron Mons. Thank you very much for watching this week, and we'll see you on the